teacher, or an older adult, we all deserve to be valued, respected, and safe.
This is the network service of the NDA.
Of life for Nigerian teachers, what no longer in heaven but here on earth, you'll get to know how. Environmental impact of illegal mining, the Osun State experience, plus plight of street children and its impact on the society. It is my pleasure to welcome you on this edition of The Correspondents. We are glad that you could join us. We have interesting stories that will be worth your while. I am Tessie Omeri. Thank you for joining us. Our first story focuses on the education sector, precisely the teaching profession. With the recent signing and approval of the new national teaching policy by President Muhammadu Buhari, the teaching profession is set to regain its respect and prestige after many years of neglect. Correspondent Abdullahi Musa Salija examines the landmark development and its benefits to the education sector.
Over the years, the teaching profession has been relegated to the background, as many see it as a vocation of last resort due to poor remuneration, lack of motivation, and unfriendly teaching environment. In a bid to boost the morale of teachers, the federal government on October 5th, year 2020, at the World Teachers' Day celebration, announced an improved welfare package for them, known as New National Teaching Policy. These are establishment of special salary scale. Retirement by age is now 65 years, retirement by service now 40 years, and for effective implementation, state funds will now be used to fund teaching practices, enhanced entry for graduating students into service, and special teachers pension scheme to be established. To many, this looks too ambitious, while others see it as just a political statement. But signing the policy into law by President Muhammadu Buhari has proved naysayers wrong.
I want to start from applauding Mr. President for doing a wonderful job by looking into the teachers' welfare. Over time, they have suffered a lot of neglect. Definitely, even just hearing it now, it's because I'm still looking for a place of permanent assignment. So with this, it's already a turn up that yes, since teachers are not being considered, then definitely people want to turn to that sector, because everybody, even the corpers, they are running from teaching sector because of this happening of not being paid, not having any allowance, not having been seen in any area. So but with this now, it's a buy idea, and seriously, it will bring a lot of Nigerian youth and graduates to the teaching sector.
It will make a teacher to be a proud member of the society, and you can do his best to inculcate and impart knowledge.
These teachers now, they now begin to have the joy to teach those students. They now begin to have the enthusiasm to do these things.
Do you want to be a teacher?
Not that I know of, but teaching is a good career. It's a very important career for the future.
Why don't you want to be a teacher?
I don't know, because the Nigerian government has not treated teachers very well in the past government. So according to what I'm hearing, they are going to improve on that. And if they improve on that, I'm sure many students out there will love to teach, because teaching is a good way to ensure that our future, the future children coming before us, are better than we are. So I think that's a good area to get into. Policy is absolutely beautiful. I think it's going to encourage teachers, the ones that are in teaching and the ones that are coming into teaching, to do their best. Teaching is a career where you have to put your heart into it, and when you put your heart into it, the children are going to enjoy it, and they are going to come out being better students.
For TED Fund, doesn't it have more to do having to shoulder fund a student in teaching practice?
We have a foundational problem.
And to address that foundational problem, which is also within the general mandate of State Fund, is for us to first make teaching attractive. We'll have some level of support, financial support, by way of stipends and scholarships. Even those who are very brilliant but are indigent cannot pay for courses in other subjects. We will want to come to education.
For some educationists, it is a robust package if government can match word with action through implementation.
We are very good policymakers in Nigeria, but sometimes we find it difficult in implementing these policies.
It is a good news for the teachers, and my prayer is that the policies are going to be implemented.
Some people that may be still doubting that government will make pronouncement like that, and then the implementation at times might be delayed.
However, the level of compliance by state where the bulk of the teachers belongs with inadequate funding poses a huge challenge.
They are all interested in it. Most, at least majority of them are. The challenge they have is in the revenue allocation formula. They believe that a disproportionate amount of resources are actually being kept at the center to the detriment of the states, and therefore will want a situation where there is an adjustment to the allocation formula, since we are devolving so many responsibilities to them, and also because we are recognizing the fact that a lot of this actually originally resides with them. So rather than government intervening all the time, we should give them the responsibility as well as the resources to carry out these functions. That is their complaint, and I believe government is also looking at that in terms of a review of the revenue allocation formula subsequently.
With the new development, there is light at the end of the tunnel for a profession that is set to regain its lost glory.
Yes, indeed, the teaching profession will soon regain its pride of place for national development. Thanks a lot, Suleja. And to environmental degradation. Blessed with vast mineral deposits including precious gold, Osun State is currently grappling with a series of negative environmental impacts resulting from illegal mining activities. Correspondent Femi Afariogun assesses the level of degradation and pollution as the state takes drastic measure to remedy the situation and sanitize the mining sector.
Osun State is endowed with vast mineral resources, including gold. The rush for the precious stone buried in the Ijesha land and part of Ife and some rural villages in eastern part of the state has led to the increase in mining activities in affected communities. Although through mining, more job opportunities are created for locals and a boost for the state economy, it is undeniable that the negative impact is already being felt on the environment, with farmlands degraded and rivers polluted, particularly through illegal mining activities.
The Osun State government has dams. The Oyo State government has dams on this course of the Osun River. So one way or the other, the people are at risk.
Whenever there is water scarcity, we used to drink water from the flowing river and also for laundry and other domestic use. But now, we can no longer make use of the water due to pollution from mining activity.
We have some older men that are still under the bridge to wash clothes. I know they were dry cleaning for people. Unfortunately, we are not seeing them. And let's know the tax effect on those people.
Among other devastations, the river course that traverses some communities in Osun, particularly the sacred Osun River, which over the years has served as spiritual strength and other purposes for devotees, have all turned deep brown, thereby forcing devotees and other visitors to stop drinking the water, nor for cleansing, for fear of contamination.
Osun River was never like this from time immemorial. This is no longer clean for consumption. We appealed to the state government, but nothing has been done. So as custodians of the sacred Osun River, we agreed not to allow devotees to drink from the river for the time being, as the safety of the would-be consumers cannot be guaranteed.
However, worried with the development, Osun government is now folding its arms by working with the federal government on policies to regulate mining and mining activities in the country.
The UNESCO, the Ocean River is very dear to them. So we are taking it seriously with the miners. We are not saying people shouldn't mine. And I'm sure you know that mining is under the exclusive list. They will secure their license from the federal government. They come down here. We are not saying they shouldn't do mining, but they should do proper mining in such a way that it will not affect our water.
It is hoped that many farmlands under threat of illegal mining in affected communities will be salvaged for food security in Osun.
Illegal mining is a menace that requires urgent attention. We hope that the government does something fast. Thanks a lot, Femi. Still ahead on the correspondence, experts advocate ways of addressing the plight of street children. Join us after this break.
My name is Dr. Faisal Shuaib. I am the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Earlier today, I took my first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Despite all of the delays, all of the doubts, here we are, Nigerians can finally access the vaccines. I hope that Nigerians will come out and get this vaccine because these vaccines are safe, they're effective, and they truly work. Over the course of the next few weeks, we have to continue wearing face masks, we have to do social distancing, but I know eventually once we're able to get herd immunity, then we'll be able to stop all of these non-pharmaceutical interventions. To get the vaccination, you should go to the NPHCDA website. There's a link on there that you click and you can register and schedule exactly where you want to get your vaccine.
Recently, both the President and Vice President demonstrated leadership by being among the first Nigerians to have the AstraZeneca vaccine administered to them on live TV for all in the country to see. Subsequently, many federal ministers, political leaders, and members of the Presidential COVID-19 Task Force have publicly taken the vaccine. To follow in the footsteps of President Buhari and Vice President Oshibaja. To obtain it yourself, please go to the NPHCDA website. There is a link to click on in order to register and schedule your vaccination. In the meantime, please continue to wear face masks, wash your hands frequently, use hand sanitizer, and observe social distancing. This message was brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Welcome back to the correspondence. Let's talk about the state of homeless children in Nigeria. Millions of children around the world survive in the streets, but only a few individuals and organizations are concerned about their precarious situation. This nonchalant attitude to the problem of street children, that is the phenomenon some say need urgent attention. International Day for Street Children, commemorated every year in the 4th month, is a wake-up call to policymakers to address the plight of street children and ways to improve their lots. Correspondent Erica Ivy brings a situation report from Calabar.
Children, no doubt, are gifts from God. However, where these children are abandoned and left to fend for themselves as a result of failed economy, inequality, as well as exclusion from the society, then such a society could breed all kinds of people, including the street children.
I was maltreated by my stepmother at home, so they now drove me out of the house, and my father told me that I should not live with him again. So I now decided to come and live in the street. I normally do hustling. I push that truck to buy iron.
Look about us. They don't even know that we are children of tomorrow. Nobody give us food. Down sometimes we sleep outside and be packing rubber and go and sell in the market.
When I came here, my father ran and left me. So I'm in the streets now.
Calabar, the Cross River State capital, is not without street children who oftentimes minors who live and survive in public landfills, motor parks, uncompleted buildings, and they could be found sleeping on playgrounds, pavements, while begging become a major treat.
Sometimes if my friend locked door, I'll come to the bus stop and sleep. So to go back to the house in the next day.
I don't have any place to stay. I'm just anytime I just be sleeping at the bus stop, or sometimes I sleep with my friend.
These children who are vulnerable to abuse, exploitation, addiction, and crime are made more difficult as a result of social perceptions as street children.
The post-traumatic stress disorder is a disorder that can affect an individual, not only a child, based on the experiences that he has had in the past.
Children are gifts from God. That is not the way children are supposed to be in the street. Children are supposed to be in their parents.
The government can open a school, educational center, or anywhere that they can learn trades.
Some stakeholders maintain that street children are a threat to public safety, attributed the train to fail families, communities, and governments in their roles and responsibilities.
Some of them now are grown up now. They constitute a nuisance to the society. Many of them are into prostitution, some of them are into robbery and other kind of vices.
Well, these street children, it's really something I feel the society and the government should take a critical look at, because it is something that is a menace to the society. It's a time bomb, a threat waiting to happen, and we need to act fast.
Respondents say, although they have been on the street for most parts of their lives, if love is demonstrated through a design and effective interventions by stakeholders to protect and provide opportunities for street children, it can be of help, for it is not too late to look into the plight of street children.
And Erica Evie now joins us via phone call to speak further on the state of street children in Calabar. Hello Erica, you're welcome to the correspondence.
Thank you so much.
Erica, the state of unprivileged or underprivileged children, who are homeless is seen as a social problem. Tell us, what is the situation in Calabar and why have they been neglected by the society?
Alright, thank you so much. The situation in Calabar right now is not different from any other city in Nigeria or Africa. They can be seen roaming the streets, loitering in slums, even centers and public landfills are trying to help themselves. The grown-up ones are aggressive. They harass unguarded victims. If you are not well guarded, you see those people, they can harass you. Some of them resort to begging and pickpocketing to survive. And it has become a big challenge and threat to the society presently as I speak. You also ask why they have been neglected.
Yes.
The neglect begins from the family, where they are abandoned by parents, guardians, or caregivers because of evil association with wrong pay groups and the manifestation of evil threats such as stealing, violence, and wickedness from these children. Some of them were given to people to take care of them. But you see, they can manifest wickedness in maltreating the children of the people that took care of them. And so because of that, so many of these people threw them out, and they now become street children.
Okay, Erica, from what you have said, you said this sometimes they attack, which means these are potentially delinquent and juvenile youths who are at the risk of being sexually abused, not just being sexually abused, also so many factors. Tell us, what is the missing link?
Okay, it is true that African society does care for one another. But because of urbanization, failed economy, inequality, as well as exclusion from the society, these children are exposed to certain evil, such as organized crime, prostitution for the girls, and other vices just to make their lives better. The absence of free education at primary and secondary level has given room to massive school dropout, especially from the poor families, where the children cannot complete their primary and secondary education as a result of school fees and other charges, thus paving way for easy access to this sort of life in the society. Poor family upbringing and moral education, both at home and school, has also contributed immensely to the menace of street children in the society.
All right, Erica, from what you have enumerated, this African culture is no longer there. How did we get it this wrong? You know, we as Africans, we are known to have this moral values, moral upbringing of our children. How did we get it wrong?
Okay. The negligence of society by being conscious. We are no longer conscious of these street children. We do not take our responsibility. The government, the family, the communities no longer take it as their own responsibility. The children failed in their responsibilities too.
Yeah.
Because some of them, you see some of them too, they actually misbehave at home. They actually misbehave, they are aggressive, they can arrest, they can insult parents, children who no longer respect elders.
Yes.
You see that they no longer respect their elders, they no longer respect their parents. This is where the missing link is coming in.
Okay, and Erica, you'll agree with me that the more they dwell in the streets, the more insecurity thrives. Some say it is a time bomb waiting to happen. What do you think is the way out?
Okay, the way out of this embarrassment is that government and private sector should respond quickly to the plight of street children by building orphanage homes. For the orphans, majority of them are orphans. They do not have parents. Then build rehabilitation homes for them to sit and be trained, have a comfort place to stay. Provide skill acquisition centers for training them. Let their hands find something to do. You know, idle mind is a devil's workshop. If you do not have any meaningful thing to do, you could be thinking otherwise. And so government should also create recreational facilities for relaxation.
Okay.
For them to feel better. They are part of the society. So if they provide all of these things, I think it will be better for these children. The children, the street children, they need basic education and moral education. We also know that education is the bedrock of any meaningful society. And when these children are given better education, their minds will be liberated. They will think like every other members of the society. And their psyche will change. Their attitude to life will change. So it is better for government to provide basic and moral education for them.
Yes.
They can also engage them in agriculture. Like I'm speaking, if any meaningful government will provide a massive land and engage them in labor, and at the end of the day pay these children, they will take care of themselves. Their psyche, like I said before, will change. Their mindset will change. And their lives will be meaningful in the society.
All right, Erica, thank you so much for that. It's indeed touching situation. It means that all hands must be on deck, and if we're talking about all hands, the parents, the caregivers, the society, the government must all get involved.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Hope to have you some other time on the correspondence for other interesting topics.
It's a pleasure.
Same here. And that's the correspondence this week. We thank you very much for being part of it. Join us again next week, same time on another edition. A quick reminder that COVID-19 is still around us. Continue to abide by government's regulations and safety protocols, and more importantly, get vaccinated. Take responsibility and stay safe. Remember that rape is evil. Take action against rape and rapists and be a star. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Lives are in your hands while you try. Protect yourself and others on the road. Vote matters from the network service of the NTA.
NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
NTA Parliament is a dedicated 24-hour channel that broadcasts the activities of the Nigerian Senate, Federal House of Representatives, and all the 36 state houses of assembly. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
There's a start.
Sheriff.
Federal Executive Council approves 100 billion naira for critical infrastructure.
House of Representatives joins Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to extend continuous voter registration exercise is to June 30.
Kingdom of Saudi Arabia promises successful hosting of World Expo 2030 with ECOWAS support.
Good Morning Nigeria today takes a critical look at the Ekiti governorship election campaign.
This Saturday, that's the 18th of June 2022, voters in Ekiti State will, of course, go to the polls in one of the country's off-cycle elections to choose the next governor. Now, there are 16 political parties that are vying for the position, and from all indications, all is set to be set for a smooth conduct of that election. And of course, residents are anticipating what the outcome would be. Kieran?
All right, yes, indeed. Of course, this will, of course, bring the number of democratically elected governors in the state to 6 after the military administrations of Mohammed Bawa and Navy Captain Atanda Yusuf between October 1996 to August 1998 and May 1999 to May 2003 respectively. Although Fayose and Payami served twice within these periods. 2 acting governors, Chief Friday Adeyemi and Tope Ademili, and the one administrator, Tunji Olori, equally held sway in the state. You can see the...
Well, there's no question about it. Yeah, the topsy-turvy of Ekiti politics. If we discount the military era, because we're focusing on 1999 to 2020, of course, going on to 2023. Now, the off-cycle election, as we have said, is one that occurred on account of the unpredictability and tension usually arising from Ekiti politics.
Now, they tried to produce 6 governors.
6 governors, that's right. And particularly interesting is that there is no one governor who has done 2 consecutive terms since 1999. You had Otumba Ni Adebayo, who's now the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. He was the first democratically elected governor. And then, of course, thereafter, you started having all kinds of issues surrounding the succession in the state. So, again, on Saturday, history is going to repeat itself. Governor Kayode Fayemi will be rounding off his tenure on October the 18th.
His second tenure, because his second tenure.
First tenure. Precisely. His first tenure, and then Fayose came in, and then, of course...
I think it was the second term again, because he had the first one.
He had the first term, there was an interregnum, and then, of course, Fayose got the second term, and Fayose tried to get his deputy at the time, Professor Leka, to succeed, but that didn't work, and that's how Kayode Fayemi came in. There was also Shoguni, if you remember, Engineer Shoguni,
at some point.
That's right, who is one of the contestants in Saturday's election. Pretty interesting state.
Exactly, and it will be recalled that since the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has approved public campaigns for all the political parties, all the participating parties have been crisscrossing the 16 council areas of the state, soliciting support and votes for the candidates. And interestingly, most of the popular contestants have had a feel of what governance in Ekiti looks like at one time or the other, just as we have just highlighted.
That's right. But no question about that. There are three front runners, it is said, in that election coming up on Saturday. Engineer Shegun, we indicated, had earlier served one term as governor of the state. Then you also have the APC candidate. The APC candidate was formerly the secretary to the state government under Kayode Fayeme. He had to step down in order to run for the election. And then, of course, you also have the other candidate for the People's Democratic Party, popularly called BCK. That's BC Kolawole. He's said to be pushed by Fayose, who is seeking to play the role of a godfather this time around. Some persons have described this as a recycling of political heavyweights. But what surprise, if any, will be there in the elections have sometimes been a feature of the off-cycle polls in that state. But what are the strengths of each of the contestants? We've already identified three front runners, the SDP candidate, that's Shegun, and the PDP candidate, as well as, of course, APC. APC is the governing party in that state.
And it's actually going to be also a test case, for INEC, who is going to actually implement, the new electoral act to see how possible the BVA and what have you, Bivas, will assist in ensuring that to have a smooth election devoid of any form of rigging. Including vote buying, which usually happens at the spot. That's a
critical point. I mean, if you recall, 4 years ago in 2018, when they had the election, and there were complaints. I mean, we had guests on Good Morning Nigeria who told tales of the so-called see and buy. That's the corruption of the voting process. So we shall be taking a look at that in our conversation segment today, on which note we'd like to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria on this wet day in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
All right, and I am Kiel, and I also welcome you to this edition of Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, reaching you from our headquarters studio here in Abuja, the nation's capital. And we will be bringing you usual complimentary segments of newspaper review, business news, foreign, and of course sports. So with us now here to deliver the morning news highlights is Dennis Adegunloye. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Kieran and Kingsley. Good morning, Nigerians. Here is the morning news. The Federal Executive Council has approved about 100 billion naira for the provision of critical infrastructure for enhanced services in the education, aviation and road transportation sectors of the nation's economy. The Council also approved the enactment of the Federal Fire and Rescue Service Establishment Act 2022.
Council approved the proposal for the rehabilitation of the 91.94 kilometer Kashimbila Takum Chachangi Road in Taraba State in the sum of 66.983 billion naira.
As you are aware, NAMA, which is the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, has a statutory mandate to enhance safety and security of the Nigerian airspace. Hence, the urgent need to upgrade the facilities to enhance their capabilities for better performance.
The House of Representatives is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to extend by 60 days its June 30 deadline for the continuous voter registration exercise. The suspension, if effected, may disenfranchise millions of Nigerians. The House adopted the resolution sequel to a motion from Representative Benjamin Kalu.
INEC declared that about 42% of the voters' registration recorded since the commencement of continuous voters registration on 28 June 2021 were invalid, with about 20 million unclaimed permanent voters cards.
INEC should provide more machines, because what they have now, one per local government, is not just enough.
In the absence of any extension by INEC, that we urge INEC to extend.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is confident that the support of the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, can help push its bid to host the World Expo 2030 over the line. The Kingdom's Minister for African Affairs, Ahmed Abdulaziz Katan, was at the ECOWAS Commission in Abuja to seek support for the bid.
We did also cover the issue of terrorism, the very strong commitment of Saudi Arabia in taking policies to fight terrorism and to support various initiatives. We did also spend some time to explain the importance of having a free, safe Gulf of Aden area.
The credibility of the Ekiti State Governorship election will not be undermined if the 16 participating political parties and their candidates conduct themselves peacefully. Chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, gave the indication at the signing of the peace accord in Abu Ekiti ahead of Saturday's governorship election.
We are exploring the possibilities of strengthening this accord, but I hope I can appreciate the way the consequences of the action. Make me our own way showing commitment to our hope and appreciation for the work of the National Peace Committee.
The Police Service Commission has dispatched a team of senior staff to Ekiti State to monitor police officers on election duties during the Saturday governorship elections in the state. In a statement, the Commission notes that the delegation has been charged with the responsibility of ensuring that personnel of the force deployed for election duties are professional in their conduct while observing the rules of engagement. Any staff caught undermining the efforts of the Commission in ensuring orderly and peaceful elections in Ekiti State will be disciplined in line with extant laws. Governor Bello Mohammed of Zamfara State has expressed his utmost concern over the recent resurgence of terrorist activities in the state. The governor, who was reacting to the recent subduction of 30 promising young entrepreneurs along Sokoto-Gusau Federal Highway, says the state government is not oblivious to the situation at hand and has since taken more steps to arrest the escalating situation. The governor commiserated with families of the abductees and directed the security agencies to ensure speedy location of those abducted and their immediate rescue. A statement issued by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Media and Communication, Zelani Bapa, says government is particularly determined to ensure that rural communities are free to go about their farming activities as this year's rainy seasons set in. According to the statements, the state government has also noted with concern the rise of informants to criminals and will not hesitate to make more stringent steps in addressing the current situation, including possible telecommunication shutdowns once again. The statement further advises all stakeholders to be alert and counter the activities of informants in their midst by assisting security operatives with intelligence for necessary action. Another set of short-listed Nigerians from the 6 geopolitical zones of the oral interviews for the finals of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund oral interviews for the finals of the Petroleum Development Fund Scholarship.
I really need the scholarship because the area I'm doing, it has to do with healthcare, whereby I'm applying the GIS app, and it's to map it out and then know the nearest route.
Before they will be released to the selected candidates for the program, it's very important to carry out the research.
Who has the 6 geopolitical zones? We are looking at the average of 353 candidates.
Well, that is the morning news. Good morning, Nigeria continues after this break with Kingsley and Kieran. Good morning.
Find the strength I need every time that I look into your eyes. I know the worry, cause I know that you did by my side. I live like far away, right in the midst of all my life. You know that I have all my right now. You did all the things for me. No matter what I do, you love me unconditionally. You know I love me every day. No matter when it's going, I show you. You show me love. You show me love.
Hello everyone. Hope you people have linked your NIN. Don't be like my son Oshegun, who had to wait for his land to be disconnected.
Yes, oh mommy, but I am now reconnected. Yes. I went to Airtel shop, enrolled for my NIN, and we registered my line. Simple and short, no stress. It didn't end there. Airtel rewarded me with a Novus bonus of 20,000 Naira free airtime and data to access all my social media accounts. If you already have NIN, all you need to do is dial *121# or visit the Airtel website to get link out. Get on it.
Airtel, the smartphone network. A new edition of TV Guide is out, exclusively with Professor Umar Garba Dambata, Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC).
We have unveiled the 622 as a toll-free line through which consumers can be able to lodge their complaints. And we have provided Introducer 112 as a national emergency number.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Finally, the hero of Nigeria's democracy has arrived. He shall usher us into a new phase of development, peace, and prosperity. He is the father of the new Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. Welcome to another season of giving Nigerians hope yet again. We are sure of a great future for both ourselves and generations yet unborn. We look forward to you leading us as a nation into our manifest destiny. Though the challenges against us as a people are many, we know that your leadership shall set us on the right path to our greatness. A new dawn beckons on us all, and having you as our president is a precursor to this. Thank you for believing in Nigeria. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels. Leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. It's time for business news with a story that headline inflation for the month of May 2022 increased to 17.71% on a year-on-year basis. Let's join our correspondent, Alika Akpanachi, for more details on the latest figures around inflation.
Data released on Wednesday by the National Bureau of Statistics show inflation declined year-on-year, but it increased month-on-month. The data attributed the year-on-year decline to less effect of COVID on prices in 2022 compared to 2021. Increases were recorded in all divisions that yielded the headline index, that is, an increase in the prices of bread and cereals, potatoes, yam, other tubers, wine, fish, meat, and oils. On a month-on-month basis, the urban inflation rate rose to 1.81% in May 2022. This is a 0.03% increase compared to April 2022. The rural inflation rate increased year-on-year to 17.21% in May 2022, a 0.15% decline compared to 17.36% recorded in May 2021. On a month-on-month basis, the rural index rose to 1.76% in May 2022, up by 0.02% from the rate recorded in April 2022. The food index on year-on-year basis rose to 19.50% in May 2022. And taking a look at Wednesday tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, Alika Opanachi, Arua.
Well, thank you, Alika, for the business news. Next is newspaper review.
We have two newspapers this morning to focus on in terms of the headlines and stories. Let's take a look first at the window page of the leadership. Leadership, bandits sack 8 Kebbi Niger villages, kill 33, abduct 30. Bandits sack 8 Kebbi and Niger villages, kill 33, abduct 30. Yobe senatorial ticket, why I won't step down for Lawan. That's according to Makina. I hope I got that. If it's Makina or Machina, I try to get the correct pronunciation before we keep on there. I didn't succeed. So either Makina or Machina. Says he won't step down for Lawan, who is the Senate president. Now, this is Kirian. This is something that is pretty interesting because we've seen examples of it around the country. Namely, Machina won the primaries for the APC in the senatorial district where the Senate president also comes from. Now, if you recall, the Senate president was one of the aspirants to the APC presidential ticket. Well, he lost that ticket, he lost that bid, and now we understand that there are pressures on the gentleman who won the APC ticket to step down for him. We have seen some examples in the past. I mean, it happened in Bochi, for instance.
Even presently, that of Ebonyi State, where Governor Mahi, came from. Governor Mahi also, contested, for the position of being a presidential candidate of the APC,
yes,
and failed. And it comes to Ebonyi State, and someone stepped down for him.
The same thing in Bauchi State, where a gentleman who was also previously the SSG to the government won the ticket, and then after the governor, that's Senator Bala Mohammed, lost the bid to become the candidate of the PDP, he returned to the state, and then the gentleman quietly stepped down. So what kind of regency arrangement are we having? The Senate President, incumbent Senate President, has been in the National Assembly, first as a member of the House of Reps, and then he's also been in the Senate for many terms now, and of course he's been Senate President since the 2019 inauguration of that. So, but we'll see how that plays out. As I indicated, this kind of regency arrangement gives you the impression where you're having just a circulation of political office holders. Now, let's move to override President Muhammadu Buhari on Electoral Act amendment. Now, we know how critical this has been. Again, Kirian, we'll return to this because the National Assembly passed the Electoral Act 2022, and then suddenly there was a realization that statutory delegates had been left out, which would have included members of the National Assembly, and then with great deal of dispatch, they proposed an amendment, passed the amendment, and forwarded it to Mr. President for his action. But by the time they did that, a number of political parties had already started conducting their presidential primaries, including the PDP, and the president advisedly declined to give his accent. So the APC also conducted its own elections. Now, the House of Reps say they are moving to override the president, to override the president's veto of that, because the time delimited for that has since expired.
Exactly.
Okay, 24 hours to INEC deadline. That's the kicker for the late story. Northeast, Northwest lobby Tinubu for running mate. PDP screens VP candidates today. Senator Binta Garba makes case for female vice president. APC presidential candidate may unveil running mate today. Other headlines: Nigeria's inflation soars to new height of 17.71%. That's in greater detail on page 25. Strike. ASU issue more complicated than Nigerians think. That's according to the federal government. It was Alhaji Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture, who spoke yesterday after the Federal Executive Council meeting. Unravel those behind or were killing Senate security agencies. Details on page 8. Clear?
All right, now let's turn to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper, above the main flag of the paper, aviation fuel hits 714 naira per liter as petrol keys return. The news is on page 8. Senate seeks trial of prison officials over illegal remand of children. It's on page 28 of the Nation. Kano Assembly okays 10 billion naira loan for Gandija. It's on page 27. And on page 2 of the Nation, we have court jails Mama Boko Haram 2 years for 71 million naira fraud. It's on page 2. Now the lead story on the Nation newspaper: last minute intrigues in PDP over Atiku's running mate with 2 riders. Ikimi panel to screen Wike. Anxiety among party chiefs over choice. Details of that can be found on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. The photo story you can see there is that of the chairman of the attacked train victims' families, Dr. Abdul Fattah Jimo, addressing reporters in Kaduna yesterday. And quickly, recall that after the 11 victims, were released, the families are saying that that they are mentally unstable, and of course are highly traumatized.
Yes. I imagine that traumatized would be the appropriate way to state it. But that they are in hospital, just undergoing care by professionals, and that once they stabilize, they would of course be rejoined with their family members.
There are other reports here. I think you've read one of them, which has to do with ASU. Issues in University Union strike complicated, says Minister of Information Lai Mohammed. OPEC reports Nigeria's oil output declines. all that on page 4. There at the bottom of the Nation newspaper, we have some government plans communication blackout to tackle banditry. That's on page 27. Well, that'll be all on the front page of the Nation newspaper. There are, of course, striking headlines. We've discussed about 2 of them from what you have read, and we also have this issue of a running mate, battle, among the political parties. So it's becoming a tough challenge, for them to do that, because of what we discussed yesterday, they have to do with balancing the equation, or regional balancing, as the case may be.
And then of course, electoral value. That's the capacity to attract votes. But ultimately, it's the business of the political parties. They don't have longer than tomorrow to submit the names. Of course, they also have to screen those they are hoping to bring on board, to be sure that they meet all the criteria, because the eligibility of a vice presidential candidate is the same as the eligibility of a presidential candidate.
Exactly. Now, this issue of the National Assembly and the House of Reps asking INEC to extend the time the deadline for registration I think that makes a lot of sense, because a good number of Nigerians are beginning to get interested in voting. Even some who never voted, in recent times, are beginning to develop interest in doing that. They have the appetite now to say, look, let us vote, because the Electoral Act is likely to protect the votes from all indications, because of this issue of the difficulty in rigging election based on what we've had, experience we've had in the past. Where elections are written somewhere and the results declared. So many people are showing interest in registration, and for me, it's the best thing to do is to extend the deadline so that many Nigerians will be opportuned to get registered for 2023 election.
That's a valid proposition, and the House of Reps should be commended. But I imagine, for instance, that INEC would be concerned about strict adherence to the timelines that it had provided for the conduct of the 2023 elections. One of the challenges that you recall that we have in Nigeria is that sometimes time doesn't appear to have any meaning. For instance, the deadline for political parties to have submitted the names of their presidential candidates was June the 10th, and then it was shifted to tomorrow, June the 17th. And then Nigerians also have the habit of getting to do things at the last minute. But the issue you just raised, because there have been also challenges in the registration process, particularly in some areas where there is strife or where there is a great deal of insecurity. But if you are seeing persons who are coming out in large numbers and getting more interested, the question would be, okay, and the House of Reps is asking for a 60-day extension, which will be 2 months. How would this disrupt INEC's preparation? Now, the process is generally technology driven. So is this likely to disrupt INEC's preparation for the election? Because it is one thing for you to register, another thing for you to also have your PVC ready. Yeah, so how will all of this affect? So what is the reasonable time that INEC can give? And then much more publicity could be granted to that as that goes on.
Yes, well said, but INEC owes it as a responsibility, to ensure that as many as are interested in registration should get registered. Yes, the card you talked about, they should be able to have the infrastructure, to ensure that the cards are churned out. It's not a rocket science, to develop a card for voting. They have all to print a card.
Well, suppose I don't know whether I don't think they have their own presses for doing that. I mean, sometimes you just have issues, but I think it's for INEC to ascertain what is more reasonable for you to do. There are a couple of stories I just want to raise and highlight, and then we'll call it time on the newspaper review. Yesterday, you recall, Kirian, we talked about the case of Hanifa Abubakar, the young girl who was abducted in Kano, allegedly by the proprietor of her school, and then ransom was collected from the parents. This was in December. Unfortunately, the young girl was killed and buried in a shallow grave, and that the trial has been ongoing and judgment has been fixed for July the 28th. Now, compare that to what happened 2 years ago in Benin City. A student at the University of Benin, Uwaila, she was a microbiology or biochemistry student. She was sexually assaulted, raped, and murdered in a church in Benin City.
Yeah, what about that case? Yes,
that's the point. You know, yesterday at an event in Benin City, the governor's wife as well as the governor raised alarm that the police said they were still investigating the matter. 2 years old, so no one has been brought to justice. They said the case file, the investigation was taken from Benin and brought to the headquarters in Abuja. And if you don't have the investigation concluded, you cannot develop a case file. That's to say, either the DPP or the Attorney General of the state cannot then have a case file to proceed with the prosecution. So, but the governor also said that there were demands, for leveraging the investigation. So we have to ask this question: why is justice being delayed in that case that caused a great deal of outrage worldwide? Owala was raped, murdered in a church, and up to now, 2 years later.
I'm even concerned about the church also, because I believe that because of what I've just explained, the church should have stepped in, to also ask questions. Well, this is a congregant, this is somebody who was attending that church. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone there, to read in the first place. So the church should step in to also ask questions as to why justice is being delayed on that very issue. I'm happy you recall that incident. It's very annoying. Well, at this point, Kingsley, we have to wrap it up.
Yeah, we will wrap it up.
Review. We'll return again tomorrow for more on this segment. For now, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we shall be focusing our attention on the topic for today, which is on the Ekiti election campaign. Stay with us.
You don't carry our pikin go hospital. Who see you now carry pikin go hospital because of ordinary fever now? Ordinary fever? Pikin when body dey hot like that. Now cloth now soak inside water take rub her body. She don't dey play even as I come out. If na malaria na dey worry that pikin, by now you no know the thing for don work pass. No be my generator dey do that one. Abeg make I quick call mechanic. Carry cloth and water. Yes. For generator. Use cloth and water clean our pikin body. Go use that same pattern for the generator. Make we see as e go work.
Sense mama. I receive sense o. See, I go do am correct now. Make you carry this for me, help me call the engineer. Make I carry her pikin sharp the hospital. If fever catch you and you no go treat am sharp, e fit serious pass as e dey o. Especially for pikin dem wey never reach 5 years. Do tests. If na malaria, finish your medicine. If no be malaria, your health worker go tell you wetin to do. Na Federal Ministry of Health and American people dem bring una this message.
Do you run a breast or cervical cancer service? Are you a private or public laboratory, clinic or hospital that offer any of breast imaging, cervical cancer screening, HPV vaccination, or other breast or cervical cancer services? Is your service a primary, secondary, or tertiary center located in any part of Nigeria, no matter how remotely located it is? If yes, to any of these questions, then subscribe to the OCI Foundation's Civic Breast app and become accessible and visible to millions of Nigerians. It is all for free. To subscribe, just type the Civic Breast application form on Google or go to the OCI Foundation's page on www.ocifoundation.org and search for Civic Breast application form. Complete the form and submit, and let millions of Nigerians patronize you, all for free. Become part of the OCI Foundation's quest to tackle breast and cervical cancers in Nigeria, and join us to rise by lifting
We are all Nigerians against all
odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who's a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as the elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, to begin our conversation, which is on the Ekiti governorship election coming up this Saturday, the 18th of June, let's listen to this background report by our correspondent, Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The electoral gladiators are already crossing their T's and dotting their I's as the clock ticks for the Ekiti State governorship election. Crucial last-minute campaigns are on top gear by the political parties as they unfold their strategies in the bid to get the support of majority of the Ekiti electorate. With 16 political parties cleared for the election, all are set to slug it out on who will become the chief executive officer of the state as they take their time to reel out contents of their manifestos. One thing they have continued to echo is the need to unite the Ekiti residents as well as grow and develop the state to an enviable position. Known to be a sophisticated state with high level of academia with large knowledge of civilization, the candidates have to go through the rigor to convince the people of Ekiti on why they should be voted for. The streets, the markets, the parks, even the neighborhood amongst others, with no place spared of being the next theater of campaign, but the last verdict depends on the electorates who have the final say. How well conducted have the campaigns been? Have the candidates been able to touch on major issues that affect an average resident of Ekiti State? Well, these are some of the questions guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria will be answering shortly.
Well, and joining us for this conversation is from our Ekiti studio. We have the only female governorship aspirant in Ekiti State, Mrs. Kemi Lebute Hale of the ADP. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me around.
Taking part in the discussion from our Ekiti studio is the spokesman of the SDP governorship candidate, Mr. Moses Jolayemi. Well, all right, we don't have him yet, but in due course, he will be joining us to be part of this conversation, Kingsley.
All right, Kieran, thank you very much. Now, we also have here in our Abuja studios a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria, public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Jide, delighted to have you on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Okay. Now, let's elaborate further on the background that provided by our correspondent, Oyeyemi Ajayi. And my question is going to Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, What is the background to Saturday's election in Ekiti?
Okay. First, if we want to establish why Ekiti is part of the off-cycle governorship election, this came to be after the 2007 election in Ekiti, where there was a very protracted litigations arising from who won the Ekiti election between John Kayode Fayemi and then Engineer Segun Oni. The election was inconclusive on the first ballot, and there was a supplementary election, and eventually Segun Oni was declared as the winner. However, John Kayode Fayemi's team, AC or ACN as it were then, went to court, and they had a very protracted litigation. I think it was around 2009 or 2010 that the issue was resolved in favor of John Kayode Fayemi, and it took over the arms of affairs in October of that year. And because of the Supreme Court decision that if you were declared winner outside of the period that the normal election takes place, your tenure stands to count from the time you are sworn in, which is a derivative from Peter Obi's case in Anambra. And so that's how we have about 7 states eventually being in the off-cycle, off-season governorship election. So, having laid that background, Ekiti since about that time have been having joined the bandwagon of states that doesn't have their elections at the regular general elections for the governorship. However, for this 2022 one, the last time governorship election was held in Ekiti was in 2018, where I was privileged to be on ground to observe that election. And it's 4 years after, even though this one will be in October, INEC decided to take the constitutional provision that elections could be held not earlier than 150 days and not later than 30 days to the expiration of the tenure of the incumbent. And having decided that, okay, if they have this election this early, barring any unforeseen circumstances, even if there is inconclusion and all of that, they can deal with it within the time frame stipulated by the law. So INEC about a year ago decided to have this election on June 18, 2022. Now, in the last 1 year thereabout, the preparation has been in earnest. Recall that in June last year, INEC decided to establish additional polling units, or if I want to say more appropriately, converted voting points and voting point settlements into polling units. So Ekiti is a beneficiary of that. Ekiti has additional 250 polling units, and now the entire polling units in Ekiti is about 2,445. So elections is expected to hold in this 2,245 polling units on Saturday. Then, in terms of voter registration, close to 1 million registrants have been, but not all of them have collected their PVC. So we have about 750,000 thereabouts having collected their PVC. But PVC collection will end today in Ekiti. So if you haven't collected and you have registered, please, you can still take advantage of collecting up until the end of business today. Then, in terms of wards, there are 177 wards in Ekiti, and there are 16 local governments, and of course, this election is expected to be like a 3-horse race, given the fact that after losing out in PDP, former Governor Segun Oni defected to SDP. and then we have the candidate of PDP and APC. But that's not to say that other contestants are not to reckon with. I appreciate the fact that we have a female governorship candidate in Madam Kemi Elebutale. So INEC has done its own bit. The INEC has conducted continuous voter registration exercise, but that has to stop much earlier than the rest of the country, given the peculiarity of the fact that they were going to have this election. So the INEC can have time to prepare the PVCs of those who have registered. But one significant thing about this election is that this is the first election that will be used to test the electoral 2022. Recall that the electoral 2022 was signed into law on Friday, February 25, 2022. This is the first major election INEC will be using, in which INEC will be test running the efficiency and efficacy of electoral 2022. Second point to note is that this is the second statewide election where INEC will be using BVAS accreditation device, bimodal voter accreditation system device. The first state where that was deployed at a statewide level was in Anambra. This time INEC is going to be using the same device.
Okay, we'll be going into that, in the course of our conversation, but I want to take you a little bit back, before we join Madam in Ado-Ekiti. How do you describe the politics of Ekiti State? What are the significant peculiarities, of that state? It has produced about 6 governors since 1999 till date. What is the peculiarity about the Ekiti State?
Well, the peculiarity for me is Ekiti. We know it to be a land of honor, and where you have high level of education. Even the farmer there can speak Queen's English. Very high level of political sophistication, and you could see that Ekiti is not unlike Anambra that has some riverine area. There's no riverine area. There are no topography is okay, and it's just 16 local government, which is one of the smallest states in the southwest. What else is there to say than the fact that Ekiti gave Nigeria the lexicon, stomach infrastructure, because the former governor, said, and it's the people of Ekiti. It's very unfortunate. It's the people of Ekiti that was like, when Fayemi contested for second time in 2014. And it was really not all that he has done in terms of infrastructure, roads, schools, hospitals, and all. People say, okay, we understand this physical infrastructure. What about stomach infrastructure? And Ayodelufa also picked it up from there and said, look, I am ready, and I've been giving you stomach infrastructure. In fact, if you vote me in, and I'm ready to give you, even there will be an aide of mine that will be in charge of stomach infrastructure. So that's it has contributed that to our political lexicon, the issue of stomach infrastructure. So unfortunately, what has been flagged now by Young Africa is that there's a lot of stomach infrastructure going on in Ekiti, even ahead of this election. A lot of boat trading is already going on, which is very unfortunate. But by and large, it is expected that this election will be very peaceful and inclusive and successful.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. We needed to have the background. Of course, there is more to discuss with regard to the unique politics of Ekiti, as it were. We're going over now to our Ado-Ekiti studios. Ado-Ekiti is the capital of the state. Earlier we introduced Kemi Elebute-Hale of the ADP. She's the only female candidate in Saturday's governorship election. Kemi Elebute-Hale is an engineer by profession. That makes at least 2 engineers in Saturday's contest, because there's also engineer Sheguni. So now we are back to you. Now we want to take the first shot. Why are you in this race?
Thank you so much for having me once again, and good morning everyone. Good morning Nigeria. I am the first female gubernatorial candidate that has taken it this far in Ekiti State. I am in the race to serve the people. The passion to serve the people is why I'm in the race, and I've been doing that in my own capacity at different levels in Ekiti State. But let me digress a little. I stand to be corrected. I want to make a little adjustment towards engineer or Honorable Jide Ojo has just said. The new electoral act will not affect our elections in Ekiti State because you don't take law backward. It is the old electoral act that is binding now, because our name has been shortlisted by INEC before that new electoral act was passed. So I have served Ekiti State in different capacities. I am the founder of Dominion Group that have impacted lives directly in Ekiti State by paying school fee, by employing people both in public and private sectors, by paying bills, by paying orphanages, which I promised them till I leave, by paying widows, which I promised them till I leave. I've impacted so many lives. I've given scholarship awards to both primary, secondary, tertiary institutions. So the passion to serve is why I'm here, and I've come here to stay and to also win elections on Saturday. I promise Ekiti people one thing, that this is the time, and the time is right for the women to emerge in elective positions. I'm standing tall for the women emancipation, youth inclusion in politics, and I've told them that no retreat, no surrender. Thank you.
All right. I like that phrase. You outlined a number of things that you've done, which impacted on lives of certain categories.